doing? I'm Zarin Ziffer, and this is Trenton Dees with his third place Gallop profile that he played in
Duluth, Georgia for Tri-Reg Premium.
Yeah, for Tri-Reg. So tell me, what made you want to play this deck?
So, just like in Standard, I feel like a lot of the joy of Vanguard is just being left of what's meta and not what you have fun with, and I love Gallop, and I just decided, hey, I'm just gonna play what's fun to me, and if it works, it works. So I just do everything right and I don't mess it up, you know.
Yeah, I also just kind of bitched out in the premium slot, so.
Oh no, it's fine. I was prepared. I was prepared to play against Sharonoi Premium all day, and I never played against it. But starting us off, we got the Metalborg Black Boy starter. It's just your typical V era starter, drawing a card, get your quick shields. Next up we have 4 of the main man himself, great cosmic hero Grandgallop. And he is also the history stride for DP, and what a lot of people don't know is whenever you stride, he gives the on-hit effect of counterblast 1, draw a card, but because your history stride says your on-hits will resolve regardless, he allows you to essentially get a free draw 2 at the start of your turn. And so it's pretty good. Not to mention, I always go Force 2 with this deck because late game, your numbers are just way too big, and threatening 3 to 4 crit every single turn is very strong. Next up, we have 4 Dizoris. Dizoris says, Counterblast 1, push him into the soul. If your Vanguard's power is 35,000 or greater after he swings at the Vanguard, you give your Vanguard plus 10,000 and plus 1 drive. And then that is for the mainline grade 3s, but there's still obviously 4 Heal Guardian grade 3s that also activate Linka whenever the drive checked. But going into past the grade 3s, we have 4 Visceral. He is just your ride line fixer if you need to see a grade 1, or if you already have the grade 1 ride line, but you don't find your Grand Rope to help you find Grandgallop. He's just very helpful. Deck thinning is deck winning at the end of the day. Next, I can't read this man's name upside down, but he's just a 20k intercept, or from hand, he's a 20k as long as your Vanguard's grade is less than your opponent. Very strong card for the later game, or just big numbers in general. This is my favorite ride target in the game because it just says on place, Soul Blast 1, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 2, you can ask for a Counter Blast or a Soul Blast, and if you ask for a Counter Blast, and they don't give you one, you draw a card, and if you ask for a Soul Blast and they don't give it to you, then their Vanguard is minus 5,000 for the turn. However, if you're both grade 3, you ask for both at the same time, so it's really good at stealing resources away from your opponent. The only issue is he's a 9k base, but hell, on stride turns, he's great for resting for Laurel because you're just going to ask for resources regardless. The next card is the Bread and Butter. It is the Cosmic Hero Grand Volver. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 on place. If your Vanguard is Grandgallop, which it is, you get to draw a card and your Vanguard gains plus 1 critical until the end of the turn. So while being on Force 2, right there off the bat, you are 3 critical, let alone just going even. It's a very strong card, and he's a 20k body on a Force 2 marker, so it hits magic numbers. We run the 1 Enigma Calm because we are playing Grandgallop and our numbers get way too big. We are able to constantly just recycle this over and over and over again. Another reason, because we're Grandgallop, we can run Grand Scout. Now you can run Grand Scout for up to more than 1. I just found myself running him at 1. He just says Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. If your Vanguard is Gallop in the name, you can Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, and double your Vanguard's power, and at the end of the turn, you can retire him and get that soul charge right back. After that, we run a 2-2 split of Grand Ropes, 1 to get me the guaranteed search and stride fodder, and 1 to help me look for top 5 while also being a 13k body, or a 30k booster. Now, we run a 2-1 split of Commander Laurels. Honestly, this never really came up in the tournament. I would have felt better having a third Vieira Commander Laurel or a second Grand Scout, because this Commander Laurel just does everything better, because you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1, sorry, not counterblast 1, soul blast 1, counterblast 1, rest 4, double your Vanguard's power, and you give another critical, and you draw a card. It just does so much, and it's just so good. Next up is the main grade 1 ride line, which is going to be Dimensional Robo Die Scooper. When he's rated upon, you can look at top 7 for a grade 3, and you just add it to hand for free. And his second effect, it doesn't really ever go off. It just says when placed, choose one of your grade 3 Vanguards, and you just give it +5 until end of turn, but it never comes up. So something that's actually different in my trigger lineup is I only run 5 crits, because you're a Gallop name, you can just give crit to your Vanguard very easily with Grand Volver and Laurel. After that, it's the draw PGs. Now, realistically, you can cut a draw PG for a 4th Linka and then turn the Laurel into Elementaria, but I never had an issue when I played against Dieliner in the tournament of worrying about Linka. And then the card that everyone hates the most when playing into any DP deck is Linka, which is GB2. If your Vanguard's power is 20,000 or greater, you draw a card. If it's 35,000, it gets red text, and it's Soul Blast 1 when your drive check reveals a grade 3. You can choose a card in your opponent's Guardian Circle that has the ability of cannot be hit, and you nullify it. So you essentially just break through PGs by just seeing 1 grade 3 in a Soul Blast. And then obviously the Brandgate OT. Going on to the Stride deck is going to be a little different. We have 2 of X-Rogue. He's the History Stride, and for a fun fact, I always go Force 2 no matter what when playing this deck, because Force 1 you can always just boost with 1 grade 1 and you're automatically at 37. So it's like you never need the Force 1 after that, because your numbers are just going to be too big, and Force 2 is just the best for this clan. After that, we have 3 Bravest Peak X Gallop. Another fun fact, I only went into this Stride the whole tournament. I never went into Unibird, because what's more terrifying than 170,000 or 300,000, as I was constantly getting up to on first Bravest Peak Stride. Like, what's scarier than 300,000 3 crit once? The sequel, 300,000 3 crit. I mean, who cares about not having drives? It's still forcing a bunch of cards out of your opponent's hand. After that, we have Cosmic Winger, Unibird Galaxy. This card is essentially just your One Punch Man. I'm going to kill you now if I know that you have already burned through Elementaria and your PGs are out, because if he gets plus 10,000 power for every card in damage zone and on your rearguard circle, and then if he gets to 100,000, then, well, guess what? He now gets a critical and +2 drives. So 100,000, 3 critical, 5 drives. If you put a Linka underneath him, he's just pure death incarnate. But also, I can get to these same numbers with Grandgallop, so I think a 1 of Unibird is fine, and you can get rid of 2 others for anything else. After that, I had 2 Geoma Glasses. Spoiler alert, this card is completely overhyped. It does the thing it wants to do, and it does it well, but I only run 2 just for flip fodder, because my opponents are almost never surviving past the second Bravest Peak. Going into my G Guardians, we have 1 Zeal. This is my favorite G Guardian of all time, just being Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, negging 5,000 power and gaining 5,000 power for the turn if you have more damage than your opponent. And then we have 2 of, I can't read this man's name, but it's the G Guardian that goes well with Geoma Glass, because it's Soul Blast 1, pick up 2 grade 3s from your drop zone at the hand, and he gets plus 5,000 shield for each one. And then best G Guardian of any clan. If this card was in any other clan, this card would be banned. It is just straight up counter, not even counter boss, no cost other than just turn a G Guardian face up. If you get plus 5,000 shield for all your rear guards, and if your shield got plus 15 or more, so if the shield goes to 30 or more, he gets to countercharge 1 and soul charge you 1. So really helpful when you're running into those long games, especially the fact of unless you're playing against Narukami, you're constantly going to have a board face up. But for my matchups, I played against Narukami in round 1. I played against Deleter Messiah in round 2, and that Ale, great player. They ended up winning the whole tournament. Shout out to them. After that, I played against Dieliner. I beat Dieliner. And then after that, it was Katrina. And after that, it was Narukami again, but this time it was Eradicators. And I'm still undefeated at this point. And then the second to last round, I played against NLK, and I lost because I didn't understand the Hope on Damp ruling as well as I thought I did, and I thought I could grab the OT, but it's okay. My teammates carried my heavy self, and we ended up winning that round. And then I ended up playing Night Rose again, and that was a pretty simple enough matchup. It was close, but it was just he doesn't survive the third Bravest Peak. And then going into top 8, it was again, I played against the same Night Rose player as the last round, and then which is super insane. And then I played against Ali again, and he got his clap back, swinging his Deleter deck at me 9 times. So he plays that deck really well. And then in the very final round, I played against Katrina again. And in all honesty, if you just go second, the Katrina matchup is just really, really easy for you. Also, my friend has my Messiah, so that would be technically the 16th G unit would be the Messiah in order to give you your funny 50 cents of guard. That's like really strong, so I didn't forget that. But final things is shout out to my sponsor, Strictly Broken Gaming, and shout out to DrawLogic and Zara and Zephyr for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
See you.